The Oklahoma Sooners are ready for a bounce back year. They've made some major improvements to this roster. Let's do a college football preview for them. I'm going to talk about the stars for this team, a few storylines to follow throughout the season, losses and additions to this roster, and then last but certainly not least, I'm going to talk about the X Factor game for this program this season, and then a record prediction to follow. So let's hop right into it. At quarterback, stars of this team, John Mateer, the number one quarterback in the transfer portal this offseason. They grab him from Washington State. When talking about dual threat guys, he's in the conversation for best one in the country right now. 4,000 total yards, 44 touchdowns, an extremely impressive season, filling the shoes of Cam Ward there at Washington State. And then to pair with him in the backfield, Jaden Ott, who, yes, was injured last year, but a lot of people forget that he's one of the best running backs in the country. 1,500 scrimmage yards, 14 total touchdowns in his junior season at Cal. I think he's going to be an explosive weapon for this Sooners team. They are looking for the next Joe Mixon, and this might be the guy. Moving on in the wide receiver core on this offensive team, you got Deion Burks. Now, he had a disappointing season last year due to injury, but at Purdue, he showed you what he's capable of. He is an unbelievable route runner. He had 600 yards, 7 touchdowns at Purdue, and he was able to produce in the limited time that he had on the field with Oklahoma last year. I think he's wide receiver number one this upcoming season. John Mateer is looking for his next Kyle Williams that he had at Washington State, and I think Deion Burks is his guy. Moving on to the defensive side of the football, you lose some studs. Some of my favorite players in college football history, Billy Bowman Jr., Danny Stutzman. I'll talk about them in a minute, but you replace them with some dogs. R. Mason Thomas, edge rusher from last year with Oklahoma, 9 sacks, unbelievable athlete. And then in the secondary, Robert Spears Jennings, my favorite safety in the entire country. He does it all. 43 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 2.5 sacks, and an interception to go with it. When talking about box specialist safeties, he's probably up there as one of the best. The reason that I love him is because he gets into the backfield and plays with a sense of urgency, the explosiveness, the ability to match anyone on the field, whether big or small. Robert Spears Jennings is that guy. And then to pair with him in the secondary, a guy that really performed well as the season went on, Eli Bowen. I believe his brother's also on the team. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but in his true freshman season, played 11 games, started 8 of them, 4 pass deflections and an interception. I think he's cornerback number 1 on this Oklahoma defense, and that's saying a lot because I think the Sooners D is stacked with talent. Look out for him. He's going to be one of the best DBs in the country this year. Now let's talk about storyline number 1. They have finally, supposedly, solved their offensive woes. Oklahoma had one of the worst offenses in the country last year. Now, you can blame that on injuries. Their top 5 wide receivers missed. Top 5 wide receivers. I'm going to say that one more time. Top 5 wide receivers missed a significant portion of the season last year. And then, of course, the poor quarterback play with Jackson Arnold and the other quarterbacks within this unit, they just did not play well. Regardless, though, the issue still stood at the beginning of this offseason. What do you do with this offense? And how do they solve that? Well, they bring in John Mateer, they bring in Jaden Ott, they get the rest of their guys healthy, and I think this team is ready to bounce back. Now, let's talk about some of the losses for this roster because a few of them are significant. Nick Anderson, first of all, one of those wide receivers that I think missed all of last season. In his sophomore year, had 800 yards, 8 touchdowns with Oklahoma. That was in 2023, but he transfers to LSU. But then the 2 guys that I really want to talk about that I mentioned earlier, Billy Bowman Jr. and Danny Stutzman. Talking about like football guys, like Friday Night Lights football guys. Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman Jr. are those guys. Bowman had 55 tackles, 3 pass deflections, 2 interceptions last year. He can be found all over the field. And then Stutzman, of course, the signal caller, the leader, the heart and soul of this defense. He gets drafted to the Saints, 110 tackles last season. When you talk about hats to the ball, he's the guy that's going to meet somebody in the hole and make a play. Those are massive losses for this defense, but I do think they have talent coming back that is going to be able to match the losses that they indeed had this offseason. Now, additions. I've already talked about John Mateer and Jaden Ott, but a couple of others that I think are significant. Number one, Marvin Jones Jr. transfers from Florida State, originally at Georgia. I believe he's a 4-star recruit, but at Florida State had a semi-productive season, but you can see it on the tape that his power and athleticism overwhelm you. He had 4 sacks in 9 games. I think he will have a much more productive year, especially with a guy like R. Mason Thomas on the opposite side of the edge rush. When it comes to being able to be a hybrid edge rusher and stop the run, I think Marvin Jones Jr. has the size to do that. And then the last guy that I want to talk about, Javonte Gibson. I'm pretty sure probably 90 to 95% of the college football world does not know about Javonte Gibson. Arkansas Pine Bluff wide receiver, second team all FCS last season, had 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. When it comes to a speedster or a deep threat guy, I think he can definitely be that. I think his yards per reception was over 18 last season. I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far, and I want to see more. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be, the next best wide receiver at Oklahoma, but I do know that the production speaks for itself, and this is a guy that could be a major addition to this roster. Couple more storylines before we get into the record prediction. Number one, I think it's safe to say that Brent Venables is on the hot seat. Yes, he had a 10-win season a couple of years ago, but the SEC, college football in today's day and age, is what have you done for me lately? Not what have you done for me 2 years ago. Not to mention, those 10 wins were also in the Big 12. Last year, first year in the SEC, they go 6-7, a disappointing bowl loss to Navy, although bowl games don't really matter as much as they used to. I will say, Oklahoma wants a revival. They need a return to relevance, and this is the season to do it. If not today, when? Because I think Brent Venables is feeling the heat for his job right now. I don't necessarily know if he'll get fired by the end of the season, but with a 6-7 start, I believe, in his first year, a 10-3 second year, a 6-7 third year, if he goes 6-7 or worse, I think Oklahoma will be moving on. But the opportunity is there, and that's the next part that I want to talk about. The second storyline to follow this one is this is a gauntlet schedule. It's unbelievably difficult and damn near impossible for me to imagine that Oklahoma is going to have a better than 8-4, maybe 9-3 season. The talent is there. Like I said, John Mateer, Jaden Ott, tons of edge rush support, safeties that are extremely talented, linebackers that can fill the hole, but going up against teams like Texas, Alabama, LSU, Michigan. I mean, it's hard to see where all of the wins stack up. That's my perspective. So let's move into the X Factor game. To me, it's Michigan. This is a non-conference, nationally televised game at 6:30 on ABC. It's really the only gigantic game, I believe, of week 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. Oklahoma has a chance to enter into the top 25, beating number 14 Michigan, and show the world that they're more than just a 6-7 team. Go back to last season. They had a disappointing year. I still thought Oklahoma was a top 15 talented roster. The problem is that they play all these other teams that are just flat out better. I don't think that Michigan on the road against Oklahoma at the beginning of the season, with all of the fans still extremely hype, that stadium is rocking, I think they can win that game. So, moving into the record prediction, let's talk about it. Will they actually beat Michigan? To start, though, Illinois State. That is a W. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. Next game, Michigan. Will they actually win? I think they will. I think when you talk about Bryce Underwood, a true freshman quarterback in his second game, and I believe, well, we haven't seen the official ruling yet, but the NCAA might suspend Sharon Moore for a game this season or maybe next season. If it is this Michigan game or if it's the Oklahoma game, watch out, because that might just get ugly. But as of right now, regardless of the noise going on at Michigan, I think Oklahoma is going to outright win this game. So a 2-0 start at Temple. I get it. It's on the road, but it's a group of 5 team. Oklahoma is far more talented. Could they have troubles with them in the first half? Sure. Any Power 4 school has had troubles with an FCS opponent, or not FCS opponent, a group of 5 opponent before. They could do it again, but they will not lose this game. 3-0. Auburn at home. I think Auburn has the same problem as Michigan. Jackson Arnold's return to Oklahoma. Is he going to be ready in this system at Auburn to go on the road and beat an extremely talented defense where Brent Venables knows his weaknesses? He was his coach. I think this is a chess match, and the Auburn Tigers will be playing checkers this day. 4-0. Kent State, another easy W. The worst FBS program in the country, probably this year and definitely from last year. So 5-0. Oklahoma at this point is probably ranked in the top 10, maybe top 15, and they go into the Red River rivalry versus Texas. Nothing better than a top 15 matchup between 2 juggernaut teams. However, I give Texas the edge here. I do think they have a better roster. They're more talented. I think Steve Sarkisian is a better coach, and given that it's a literal 50-50 split neutral site, I will side with Texas here for now. Once again, am I going to be surprised if Oklahoma comes out and wins this game? No, they won it 2 years ago with a guy in Dylan Gabriel. I absolutely believe that Oklahoma can win this game again. So 5-1, disappointing loss at South Carolina. I think that's a tough road test. I think South Carolina Stadium is going to be on fire for this team. Everybody loves Shane Beamer. Lenore Sellers is one of the biggest hype trains right now. I'm kind of riding it. The only reason I give Oklahoma an L here is because it's on the road. Next game, Ole Miss at home. I do not think they have the requisite talent, Ole Miss, to continue the streak that they're on with Lane Kiffin. I think they'll have a disappointing year. They're going to have a rebound season or off season to recover from this. Right now, I think Oklahoma wins that one with ease. At Tennessee, that's a tough game. One that Oklahoma lost last year at home, but going on the road, there's no Nico Iamaleava. So there's potential for Oklahoma to win this game. But we've seen a bunch of other teams like Alabama go in there and lose. I could definitely see it happening this upcoming season, and that's why as of right now, I have yet to see Tennessee's offense, but I could say the same thing about Oklahoma, and that's why I'm going to give them a loss here. So moving into the last 3 games of the season at Alabama, I said Alabama was going to beat Oklahoma last year, and what a freezing cold take that was. They go 24-3, get blown out by the Sooners. They put on a defensive clinic, but I do think that in year 2, Kalen DeBoer with Ryan Grubb and Ty Simpson, a quarterback that more fits the style of what they're trying to do, and it's in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I don't think Oklahoma is up to the test. That's a loss. Home for Missouri, a victory. And then this might be the game at the end of the season where a playoff spot is on the line for LSU and or Oklahoma. I have them right now at 7-4, but that could easily be 8-3 with a chance to take down a top 10 LSU team and go to the college football playoff. So, let me reiterate this. If Oklahoma could go 9-3 with this schedule, they are absolutely going to the playoffs. I'll just say it right here, right now. 9-3 versus this schedule, the 3rd toughest schedule in the country, they'll be going to the playoffs. Alabama was 9-3 and barely missed it last year. They lost to an unranked Oklahoma and an unranked Vanderbilt. I don't see the games where Oklahoma could lose unranked matchups except for maybe Auburn, but that's at home, so I doubt it. That was a little bit of a rant, but this is such a massive matchup here. LSU at home, Garrett Nussmeier coming in for his farewell tour in the SEC, the last game of his collegiate career in the regular season. As of right now, I think LSU is poised for a national championship. I cannot say the same about Oklahoma. This game, when it matters, comes down to quarterback play, and for now, I will lean on Garrett Nussmeier more than I will John Mateer. So a loss for Oklahoma there, 7-5. If that can somehow be 8-4, I think there's a ton of momentum for Brent Venables going into year 5. I don't think he gets fired at 8-4. I really don't think he gets fired at 7-5 as long as they could beat Michigan. If you have a standalone platform victory that you can put on your resume and say, look at this, we beat a top 25 team here at Oklahoma, it's definitely possible for them to achieve that and have Brent Venables keep his job. I like Venables. I think that in this day and age, offensive-minded coaches are more susceptible to success. I would guess, or not even I would guess, I would say. That's my opinion. But I think Venables knows how to draw up a defensive scheme like almost nobody else in college football. It's all going to depend on whether or not they fix their offense. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Again, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.